Tadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishwaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatosh Maham Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste Om Ishwara and we begin verse 52. The Lord said, "This form of mind which you have seen is very difficult to see. Even gods are always craving for the vision of my entire, mm, you know, form, let's say." So again, he's wrapping up this this chapter 11, repeating again and again the nature of Vishvarupa Darshanam, and then he brings some intriguing element here. He says even gods, they would like to have it, but they can't. So who are these gods? So the gods are people who have somehow so much spiritual punya on their account that they go to certain locus, yeah, as it seems, and we would assume that they have a lot of punya, so because they understood the nature of God. But here Krishna is saying even gods somehow, some of them are not even good karma yogis, because in order to be good karma yogi, you need to understand the true nature of Shwara as the entire manifestation plus the intelligence sustaining it. You need to understand to be a sophisticated karma yogi. Huh? But apparently, one may have so much punya to come to enjoy the status of being a saint or a deva, even without understanding the true nature of Saguna Shwara, which is a bit intriguing. Let's see what Swami says. Yeah. Now, Lord Krishna winds up by glorifying the Svarupa Darshana once again. Arjuna is not happy. He was happy about the Svarupa Darshana, but no longer. And therefore he asks, please take it away. Arjuna, what you got is a very rare thing, but as we know, you did not get it by your own doings and efforts and maturity. So you couldn't fully enjoy it. So you enjoyed only 2/3, and then it's almost like I am 2/3 enlightened. I know that I'm conscious existence, but I did not understand that I'm one without a second, not the only reality. So here you understood the nature of Sagunishwara, but only the 2/3. The last piece is missing. If the last piece is missing, you cannot really be a good Karma Yogi, because to be a good Karma Yogi, you have to accept the unpleasant, the unfavorable circumstance as an opportunity, as prasada, as with reverence and dedicating your response to God. Huh? So there is not much merit. I mean, the merit would say is in Arjuna falling, karmically speaking, in this close contact with a Sadguru that is going to teach him directly, teaching us indirectly. That is wonderful punya karma, yeah. But in order to get this vision, he was not qualified yet, but he was getting there. And Krishna goes on to say, it's not because you deserved it. It's not because you are fully qualified. It's because you're a good devotee, because you're a good bhakta, And then now he's preparing the topic of the following chapter, which is bhakta, devotion, 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 love towards God, even if you don't understand God fully, But you get a sense that there cannot be a creation without the creator, and this seems to be absolutely intelligent design. So this creator can only be a sort of intelligence beyond human comprehension. So that is good enough for you to start having this attitude of love, reverence, and devotion that is so rare. That itself is already so rare. But Arjuna had that. You got this vision because of my grace and because you surrendered, because you are a devotee, you are, you know, someone who truly developed love towards the Creator. Why it is so difficult to have this darshana? Let's see what Swami says. Even gods are eagerly crave. He's not going to say, he says, it's so difficult even because gods do not have it. But Swami, I want to know why gods do not have it. But he does not elaborate on that. He just would use one argument. It's difficult because gods cannot have it, but he does not explain why gods cannot have it. So it's rarely available for gods themselves. What to talk about ordinary human beings such as ourselves. Okay. I'm not convinced by this passage. Regularly praying for that is not going to help. I chose you for giving this darshana. Okay. And that let's leave behind that kind of a controversy of relate to that verse, neither by the study of the Vedas, nor by austerity, nor by charity, nor by worship can I be seen in the form as you have seen me. So he is repeating himself again. You can memorize the entire Vedas, study it. You can do all kinds of austerities and social work, charities, and rituals, ceremonials, and so on. And none of that will qualify you to see me in the way you could see me. In the previous verse, Lord Krishna said Vishvarupadasha is a rare thing. Nature, the question would come, if it's so rare, what is the means of getting so it's so rare, how one can get this, it's so rare, the gods cannot get it, so how are you going to get it, and then here we have two pointers. One is you get it by developing the qualifications necessary. And how you develop the qualifications? Kama yoga, upasana yoga, yana yoga. No? So, and how I go about journey, progressively with the attitude of devotion and reverence and love towards the nature of God. So, what's the means? Vedic teachings, Upanishad teachings. That's the way we can get not only the Vishvarupa Darshana, but we can get the vision of God as the substratum of Vishvarupa Ishvara. The substratum or the essential nature of Vishvarupa Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagat. Everything is just this substratum, which is referred often as Nirguna Atma or Brahman, and I am that. So how are you going to get this Varupa Darshan? Qualifying through Kama Yoga and Upasana Yoga. We should stop there because so far he's not dealing with Jnana Yoga here. Because even Devas is now being able to get that. The means we know, the means are all the sadhanas as presented by the Vedas. And he's going to present now in the next two verses. The means for Lord Krishna wants to mention is bhakti, as we already began inferring, that the means is devotion. What is devotion? Is not a sadhana per se, but it is a devotional, spiritual, religious attitude that should permeate all sorts of sadhanas. So eagerness, a sincere desire, a sincere love or craving, this is called Tivra Bhakti. This is the sadhana. For Vishvarupa Darshana, and Krishna wants to glorify this Tivra Bhakti. Okay. I did not pick up on this Triva. What is the meaning of this Triva?
Just very strong or intense bhakti.
Yeah. Thank you. We have seen that he speaks of devotion as a sadhana and glorifies it, kind of make it look superior to all other sadhanas, because he was teaching Arjuna and Arjuna alone. He knows that, I'm teaching the entire humanity, but I will send my gurus later on to explain the context so that there is no confusion. Right now, I'm teaching Arjuna. I need to glorify this attitude of devotion. I can even say it is the highest possible sadhana, although it's not a sadhana, because after all, that's what Arjuna needs to know now. He needs to be qualified to be a devotee, a highly developed devotee, because that is going to take him to desire for self-knowledge and moksha. Therefore, this glorification of devotion is presented here. It's extremely important considering the context that Arjuna was not yet qualified for Jnana Yoga. Although for Jnana Yoga, yet again, we need the same devotional attitude. So now here he wants to focus on devotion as a sadhana, and appears as if he's comparing, but he's just bringing this devotional attitude into focus. Therefore, in this verse, Krishna is saying all other sadhanas are kind of inferior. Bhakti devotion alone is the most important sadhana. And we must agree with this, because without Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga is impossible, Or you may go through Jnana Yoga, but Jnana Yoga is never going to go through me, because I'm going to have an academic approach. In order to have a real Vedantic approach, I need to be a devotee of the Lord, so that my ego, takes its proper dimension, and one can surrender to these teachings as originate by the Lord, develop all these qualifications such as, reverence, love, and acceptance for what is being manifest, without resentment, without complaints. All these qualifications are going to keep the mind calm and focused, so that we can move gradually into Jnana Yoga. So therefore, Bhakti Yoga is the most important sadhana right now for Arjuna. What are the other sadhanas mentioned here? He said devotion. He said study of the scripture. He talked about the scholars, the the academics, the Vedic scholars. People can even chant the entire Veda, but yet they did not really go through. They did not allow the Vedas to go through them. Even such great scholars will not get this vision, this darshan. It's so simple, Because you start alone without devotion, love, and reverence to God. It's just, more of a load. What kind of load? Knowledge load. Now I have studied Vedas. Now I carry this, and I cannot put it down, because if I put it down, I don't have the knowledge. The knowledge was not meant to transform me, transform my vision of the world as God manifests. The knowledge is meant not for transformation, but addition of more academic knowledge that I have to carry around and try to show to people how smart and knowledgeable I am. Vishwarupa Darshana is not possible even by Veda Adhyayana. Okay, these great scholars. Tapas and all other austerities are not going to help. So tapas, austerities, and other practice may help people to begin developing a little bit of the devotion, which is what is going to allow the person to get into Vishwarupa Darshana. Vedas will not help you. Tapas will not help you. Twisting the body will not help you. We should remember, if you are doing any kind of this doing things, it does not mean that you have to drop them. You have to do that with an attitude of love, reverence, and devotion. As I said, it's not it's not meant to drop what you're doing, but it's a remembrance, a reminder that whatsoever we do as a spiritual practice must be soaked within devotion. Devotion to whom? Not to a guru or fake guru. Devotion to the Lord. Devotion to the Lord. By selfless service, charity work, it's not going to do, not doing. We spoke about that in the previous class, so it's not a doing, it is something that is nicely illustrated as the fragrance of a flower, So you cannot see the fragrance, but some flowers release a fragrance, and such as the one doing Karma Yoga or any other sadhana, if it has that fragrance of reverence, love, and devotion to the Lord, and then you can sense this, and the person is being transformed, or the person is being qualifying himself or herself through this sublime feeling, emotion, which is devotion, which means accepting anything as intelligent design, as my own Prarabdha karma, without complaining of Ishvara. So none of this is going to work unless devotion is permeating everything. I'm not giving at all from the beginning. Already giving is a problem. These lines can mislead. Very careful. Charity is also important. What is he saying here? Bhagwan has said charity is useless. That's the only reason why I'm not giving it all. Okay, and then the student listening to Swamiji said, that's why I don't do charity, because, the ego always likes to protect its self-image, justify thing. He said, no, don't take me wrongly. Careful. Charity is important, donation is important. Then the next one, talk about yajna rituals. Even by performing rituals, you cannot have this, this spirit of love, reverence, and gratitude to the Lord. This is inferior. You cannot compare. You cannot compare, any kind of sadhana involving actions with devotion, because devotion does not involve actions. Therefore, you cannot say that this and this and this sadhana is inferior, superior to devotion, because they belong to different orders, One is about doing things, to obtain a result, we hope that it is an improvement or betterment of the body, mind, sense complex. So now we have doing things, sadhanas, and we have devotion. Devotion is a different order. It's in truth, you cannot compare them. That's why it should never be presented as a sadhana. And towards the end, I believe, of Jesus, or the next chapter, Swamiji is going to make it very clear that it's not a sadhana. So this Vishvarupa Darshana, this vision of the Lord, which is not only an intellectual vision, but it's an integral vision that brings with it, a sensibility and a refinement that sees the Lord behind the miracle of life. People cannot even see the miracle of life. They don't have that sensitivity. They just see matter moving because, there are some energies, and God, at the most, if they consider God, they think that God is the energy moving things around. But God is not an energy, as we know. He's the intelligent order. It's used through the power of Maya, It's three gunas to provide every living creature with the necessary pranas to keep the body alive. So Vishvarupa requires a spiritual development which is very rare. We cannot be attained by any doing. You better understand. And if you are lucky enough, you begin developing a sensibility, a refinement to sense this supreme power, supreme intelligence behind everything, no matter the circumstance, no matter the president of the United States and whatever, it's just God at play. And he says, so you got this very rare Visvarupa vision, Arjuna. So, and the irony is what? You don't want, you ask me to remove it. And the irony is not really surprising because he does not want it once he got it because he cannot handle it. He cannot handle it because he was not mature enough to accept things, life as it is. What cannot be changed cannot be changed. Parabada cannot be sent back. At the most, I can, respond to my parabada in a way that may influence future parabadas to be a little bit more favorable. Huh? This rare Visvarupa Darshana you got, and you don't want it. Remember, I did not push it on you and so on. So you don't want it because you are not qualified. So there is not much merit. The only merit is the spirit of devotion that was already present in the mind and the heart of Arjuna. So I know what is the sadhana that will help to develop this or to get to this Vishvarupa. We'll see in the next verse. I have been anticipate that it's not a sadhana, but it is something from a different order, which is, fragrance in the heart of the individual that should be there present within every one of our practice. Or Arjuna, however, by undivided devotion, I can be seen in this form. What form? I am the totality, I am the good, I am the bad. I am the pleasures, I am the pain. You need to be a very, very, very sophisticated, refined, purified devotee in order to see me without freaking out and developing, bad feelings toward God. Because people develop bad feelings and then they start doubting. So is God worth loving? Look at this. Look at the Prabhupada. Look what I'm living now. I hate this place. I hate this house. I hate this planet. Oh, I want to go here and there. So how can I love God if I'm rejecting everything that He's present to me as my Prabhupada? It's contradictory. It's totally contradictory. Devotion is acceptance without any buts, you know, attached to it. I accept it without any, you know, but not this, but not that, but, you know, I accept everything. Why? Because I understood that it's linked to my attitudes, words, and deeds. So I take my responsibility, and I understood the nature of God as the law of karma, the most important, principle, law governing these jivas, order of meet order of reality. So I accept God as the law of karma, the intelligence. Many other laws and principles are sustaining this order. And therefore, I take everything as a mature individual. Okay. And he says, if you get to develop this undivided devotion, you're going to be able to see me fully without losing your mind. Everything, things are not in harmony or in conformity to your likes and dislikes. Because if you want to see me and love me only when things are favorable, you're going to be in conflict because you're going to love, you're going to hate. You're going to love, you're going to hate. That's more or less what we experience with human relationships, If people fulfill my needs and desires and expectations, I love. If they don't, you know. So if you keep this growing, this undivided devotion, you're going to be able to deserve this vision. This vision is going to be owned by you, is going to be held and maintained by you. And in due time, you're going to merge into me as Aham Brahma's me. Huh? The means, as we know, is devotion, is bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is not a yoga, is a love and reverence to the Lord. The question comes, what kind of bhakti is indicated here? Because we have seen subdivisions of bhakti, bhakti like this, bhakti like that, sakama, niskama, devotion or bhakti. And what kind, it is a very sattvic bhakti or more like rajasic bhakti who loves the Lord only if the Lord provides him or her with success in their endeavors, or what kind? So common is common. Krishna adds an adjective, anyana bhaktiya, not an ordinary bhakti, but ananya bhakti. So the question is, what the heck is this anyana bhakti? You have to go back to the seventh chapter to remember. Okay, shame on me. I forgot the seventh chapter already, where we have talked about four levels of bhakti: artha, austerity, jinyatsu, and yani, which can reduce into three levels. So these four levels can be understood in three levels. Artha, austerity is one level. Jinyatsu is another level. Yani is the third and final level. So what are these three levels? I hope you remember. I will remind you right now. Devotion to the Lord is for the benefit of worldly personal goals, is sakama, which is otherwise known as sakama bhakti. I am a devotee of the Lord, but I want my devotion and my actions pay dividends to myself alone and my family at the most. I go to the temple, I do puja, everything, but I use Ishvara as a means for my worldly ends, which means I get such thing done. Then I will do this for you. It's a bargain. No, it's a business. It's called business bhakti, purely commercial bhakti. You do this, and for you, I will do that. And also, we are very clever, not intelligent, clever. We will not do what we have promised at the beginning. We're going to trick somehow. And Swami here and there presents some examples of how trick the human mind is, makes some promise and then breaks it, even with God. I'm not even willing to trust God. You do that, and after that, what I'm going to do? We offer the cheapest thing that we have, our hair or other thing like that, no cost at all. Will only become lighter. So Jesus called business bhakti and so on. So this is the first level of devotion, which is there's not much of devotion there. Devotion is a kind of love that implies acceptance for what it is. Otherwise, it is a commercial trading that does not have much of devotion to it. But people, no, I am a devotee of Lord because I do a lot of rituals to get what I want. And there are people who want to get what they want even without addressing God through pujas and rituals or prayers. They just want to get what they want, which is even worse. Those are the materialists. Once the person does this kind of commercial bhakti for some time, he's technically called Sakama Bhakta. There is very little back to it. It's better than, rejecting God. At least there is a notion that there is a creator here and I have to please the creator. But I do so when I want to accomplish some things, pass a certain examination or, find a good husband, a good wife. It's better than no bhakti. It's better than being totally against no believer of God, because doing this kind of bhakti, the mind slowly but surely it purifies, and people begins maturing and understanding a little bit better and developing an attitude towards God, not no longer as a means but an end by itself. So we love God because we want something, and the Niskama Bhakta, now I tend to say that he still does that because he wants something. To some people, it appears no, because some bhakta do not even want, moksha or self-knowledge, which requires, mental, emotional purification, So I am a kami yogi. I don't care to control the results of my actions, but I have one goal. One goal is to live, with love, reverence. But I have one goal, which is what? Mental purification, refinement, because my goal is understand not only the entire nature of Saguna Brahman, but Nirguna Brahman, because once I know Nirguna Brahman, I may be lucky enough to understand that it's absolutely identical to Jiva Atma nature, The Atma of the Jiva is the Atma of Ishvara, is the Atma of Brahman. Those are the statements at the end of the Vedas. So one from being a Sakama Bhakta develops a little bit better understanding, get pure, and the God is no longer there as a means, but an end by itself. The person, once it becomes mature enough, the person, okay, and now he's moving a little bit the subject here, but I want to develop a little bit more the other one where I was going. So the once the person does not want Ishwara as the means to get worldly gains, he becomes a true karma yogi, that he experienced great pacification or satisfaction in loving God, but the person is not stuck there. Once the person gets into the Vedanta, he understands that this devotion uh, to Ishvara, not as a means, but as an end, should not stop as the end is to love God, but the end is the purification and refinement that I get by loving God, not as a commercial trait, but just for the sake of love. But deep inside, the Vedantine knows that by loving God, I develop devotion. Devotion is going to accompany me through later on the process of Atma Vichara and self-knowledge and moksha, right? So the Kama Yoga loves God by itself, not as a means, but an end, but knowing perfectly well that my goal here is more and more purity and refinement so that I can be successful in understand the true nature of Saguna Ishvara as the Aguna Atma, my own Atma. And that's why I'm here saying like, and why you want to love God by itself? Because before you were not loving God, you are loving a new car, a new house, a new relationship, and then you are running to God to ask for, you know, the removal of the obstacle between my actions and my goals, you know. So you try to seduce Ishvara with a lot of rituals and pujas and so on. So now, once you understand that I have got this, I have got house, I got all these things, and I'm not satisfied, I'm not happy, I'm not pacified. Okay. And then you start getting mature enough to understand that very simple truth that it is one of the most revolutionary and the most potent statements that I found in my relationship with Ramji and Shine World, which is the joy is not in the object, you know? So no matter what I get, using God as a means so that I can be successful in getting more money, prestige, and power and material gains, none of these is giving me a sense of fulfillment and satisfaction and completion. I just develop more and more desire for other things because these things have so far failed in delivering this sense of Purnatva. So it takes great maturity. The Kami Yogi, being a commercial trader, he comes to a point that none of these things have delivered. And how many people comes to that stage, of giving up investments into samsara, don't matter if it is G samsara, using God as a means, or celestial or esoteric samsara, using, sadhanas, even without involving Ishvara, because these people, they throw Ishvara into the garbage. And these fake gurus take themselves to be very, very developed guides, no need for Ishvara. So, once a person understands the nature of every success is a failure, the nature is failure in delivering what it appears to promise, and then the person starts understanding that the defects are inherent in every object of gain. These are referred technically as the dosas, the three dosas. The first is every gain in the creation is mixed up with pain, and he's not going to elaborate here, neither do I. But I'm going to say just that to go there and to compete in the market, if you're a devotee, at least you should not break and violate Dharma right and left. You have to go there and compete with others, and meanwhile ask the protection of Ishvara or the sympathy of Ishvara, and then you are doing your actions in harmony with Dharma and in harmony with what you want to gain. So the process of competing with all the anxiety and effort, and so on is a pain in the butt. So the first defect is the defect of pain inherent to the process of trying to accomplish my desired goals, you know. And then, as we know, this is a huge defect. And once we got it, there is a pleasure, but mixed up with a pain that took to get here. And then immediately I have another pain, which is how to keep it, as we know. And then the biggest pain is what? Because anything that we gain, we're going to lose. Anything that I can acquire, I will lose. Anything. Only that which cannot be acquired will never be lost. So therefore, we have these three defects: defect, stress, and pain in order to accomplish. And then the maintenance is a problem. It's constant, hunting. So if I lose it, if I lose it, if I lose it, it's very common when people fall in love, such as somebody in my family who did recently. I can sense that preoccupation, if I lose it, just now I'm so happy. So, and then if you really lose it, because you're gonna lose sooner or later, and then the defect, the pain is even bigger. And then what happens when I lose what I thought it was going to deliver my happiness, and then I turn to the next in the list. I will have more and more desired objects in my list. So I will always be there with this vasana, mistaken vasana, that points me, directs me towards the objects of experience as a means to fulfill myself, but they never deliver. And I get a vasana, an ignorant vasana, that the more I feed this vasana, the more difficult it is to see it through. Unless the suffering, the problem is a lot of people have to suffer so much, but suffering is good, but at the same time it's bad, because when you suffer so much, your intellect gets damaged as well, and then discrimination, goes down, and then the person have difficult to connect the dots and see, none of these achievements are going to resolve me. I will keep Avasana, and Avasana is there, but the energy is low, the body mind is weak and worn out, and so on. That Vasana, this desire for more, for try again, other objects, is going to be held for the next incarnation. And that's called binding addiction, binding vasanas, which holds us, how to say, I would say when somebody is kidnapped and it's hostage, yeah, will hold us hostage for the next incarnation. So I was slaved. Who slaved me? I did slave myself. How so? By somehow coming here with very little viveka. Ah, but you were born like that, and then God is responsible for your enslavement. Well, but this is a meritorious or meritocratic design system. I brought whatsoever, merits or punya I had. I had opportunity to elevate myself in terms of purification and understanding. But no, I wasted one life, and then towards the end, I die slaved by my vasanas, and these vasanas are going to produce another birth. If we are like, we get back as another human being, and then we're going to have to work from the scratch with all those slavery vasanas, that governed us in the previous birth. All these defects needs to be understood. When I understand that, and then I understand that Ishvara is the only thing reliable, which is free from all these defects. Now we have to understand it very clear because Ishvara is not an object that can, protect me. It's not a creature or a superhuman jiva. So Ishvara is a system that needs to be understood. Once I understand Ishvara as a supreme intelligence, and then my mind begins refining, my understanding goes purifying, and then I see the entire picture of Ishvara. I see the laws and principles. I see where I'm making mistakes, where I'm creating, conflicting karmas in my life. I saw that those patterns that I just make me stuck, and I make an effort, a sincere and intelligent effort to connect the dots between my attitudes, words, and deeds and what I'm reaping as my parameter. So I know that God is the only reliable one. So it's not that God is an entity that, oh, please help. No, understanding God is the only way out. Those are small little things, but very important because we cannot leave these things on a vague, manner like God. I'm holding on to God, but it's somewhere there. I'm holding on to. You have to understand God. You have to know that God is the only reliable principle provide. I understand God, I understand its laws and principles, and I understand my relationship with God. Well, that's the way out. Because God is beyond all virtues and all defects. He says he's free from all these doses. Of course, God is not moved by karma. God is a system. It's not an entity with desires, ragged vestas, or anything. He's not a saint. He's not, just purity. No, he's beyond purity and impurity. God is beyond all opposite pairs. It provides us with the system, understanding God with this spirit of love and devotion is fundamental. Not only here, but with the fragrance. Now I understand you. You are beyond, the facts and virtues. You are the system. Understanding you is the only way to develop a qualified mind, to love you more and more, and to go into the Upanishads, get knowledge, self-knowledge, and be free. Therefore, once this understanding comes to the sadhaka, the direction of one's life change. Instead of looking upon the world as the end, the goods of the world as an end, and God as a means, it's kind of reverse. The world become a means for me to reverence, love, and chant the name of God. Yeah? So the world becomes means, all my activity becomes means to give something back to the Lord, to dedicate my actions to the Lord and accept what's coming as prasada. So that's why they call in India Grihastha Ashrama. Ashrama is not only a place where sannyas go. Grihastha is also an ashrama. It's through the interaction we have with the world, fulfilling or playing our roles in life, we have to see that as a sadhana within a temple which is the temple of God, this manifestation. All the people come and going also becomes means. The only end is what? The only end is understanding God. Understanding God is the end, which is in Vedanta language we call Brahman, the true nature of Saguna Ishwara. In religious language we call Ishwara. Okay, so this is the concept that in Shine World we have seen Ishwara 1, Ishwara 2. So Bhagwan or Ishwara is Saguna and Brahman is Nirguna. So you want to go all the way with the spirit of love and devotion until you understand the nature of Saguna Ishwara as Nirguna Atma, Nirguna Brahman. Ishwara is Sadhyan and word is Sadhanam. This is the second level of bhakti. So it's reversed, you know. So the word and your activities you use as a means or a sadhana, né? And the goal is pacification, purification, refinement of the body mind through the understanding, feeling of love and devotion. This is the second level of bhakti, which Krishna calls Jijñāsu Bhakti, otherwise called Mumukshutva Bhakti in our Vedantic term, otherwise called a perfect bhakti or anayam, strong, intense. If this intense bhakti is there, even Vishwarupa Darshana is possible, and this will lead to the highest bhakti, which is not mentioned here and is not going to be mentioned here at this point, which is seeing God, loving God as the only reality, which is the background upon which, the Prakriti of Maya projects Ishwara, Jiva, and Jagata. But to complete the discussion, what is the third and final level of bhakti? He mentioned here is a bhakti in which God is neither means nor an end, is beyond all projections or pairs. God is neither a sadhana nor a mean. This is the siddha vastu itself, because as long as I look upon God as a means or an end, Lord is different from me. I need to grow to understand God as the only reality, as the nature of Shwara, Jiva, and Jagata. Dvaitam. And I look upon God as a goal, there is a division, myself and Ishwara. If I want to understand God, I want to understand God, I want to love God as the creator, but I should not stop at that level of duality. My goal is Advaitam, not Dvaitam, is understand the nature of God as my own nature, Nirguna Atma. The third level, I would anticipate, is Advaitam when God is neither means nor an end. God is not a destination. God is the traveler's nature himself. Okay, true nature of the Jiva is the Atma of the Jiva, which is the Atma of Ishwara, which is the Atma of Brahman. God is not the something that we are seeking. God is the very nature of the seeker, the true nature of the seeker. This is the final stage. This is the Upanishad final teachings, which we are not addressing here, we are not seeing here. Here we are talking about Ananya Bhakti, where God is the goal by itself, which I have added a little bit by saying that in the mind of Vedanti, God is not, should never be the goal by itself, but a means to further develop certain qualifications which require even more intense and refined devotion to understand the true nature of Sagunishwara as Nirguna Atma. And this will lead to, in due course, it will lead to what? To the understanding of the Lord in his real nature. Okay, no longer Saguna but Nirguna. What is the real nature of God? He is present, is not a means, is not an end. Neither means nor an end. The Lord is Aham Brahmasmi, is the only reality, is conscious existence, one without a second. So We go through the process of Dvaita Bhakti, devotee of a God other than ourselves, to qualify to to go, through the Vedantic process by which we get to understand that God is our very own intrinsic nature as consciousness. A person can come to that through that yanan pravistum sha sakya, and through this knowledge the devotee merges into the Lord. Okay, here he says again and again that and then you're going to come to me, you're going to come to me, you're going to merge to me. Let me see what was the word, the translation. Yeah, merge into me, oh Arjuna. So he's talking about merging. So merging is only possible if we take the nature of Saguna Ishvara, Saguna Krishna, to be Nirguna Brahman, because then the merge happens by understanding that there is only one Atma, one self, one consciousness. Aham Brahmasmi, a person can come to that understanding through knowledge, the Upanishad knowledge, and then this quote unquote merge, yeah, cognitively. I understand God not as something other than myself, but my true fundamental nature. And then it said, I become one with the Lord, the same way the wave becomes one with the ocean. But when does the wave become one with the ocean? By understand my true nature is water, not the Namarupa wave. And as water, I am identical of the ocean because the true nature of the ocean is water. So this is the most simple understanding. And this analogy should be almost enough for us to get this, doubtless understanding, not subject to forgetfulness. The notion of separation, division is removed. By then, the removal of this notion is called merger, but there is no question of time and space merging. It's a cognitive process. Nothing changes outside. You don't need to travel to merge into anything. And that is the idea, and that is summed up in the next final verse. Let's see the next final verse. He who does work for me, who is my devotee, who keeps me as the supreme goal, who is free from attachment and who is free from hatred toward anything, reaches me, or Arjuna. So now he even raised the qualification. Now he says, free from any and all human attachment and free from hate anything or anybody. Only then you're going to understand me, my true nature, merging me as Aham Brahmasmi. You keep myself as the supreme goal. You need to be a devotee, with a lot of bhakti, a lot of love and reverence and interest to assimilate the nature of the God, the Lord. And then he says a passage here, who works for me, So there is no real work in the sense that nobody is meant to work for God. It's work to understand me, work to merge into me, work to understand these teachings, work for understanding me. Who is my devotee? How are you going to work? By understanding me, by conforming your rugged vesha to my laws and principles. That way we develop a more pacified mind a happier mind, and a happier mind is going to be qualified in due course to understand this Nirguna Atma nature of the Lord. This is the supreme goal. A Vedantist should have that supreme goal and the intermediary goal. The intermediary goal is from being a materialistic person. I begin a relationship with Shwara. At the beginning, I'm a Sakama devotee, and then I become a Niskama. As a Niskama, I want to get final enough mental purification, above all, mental refinement, and more desire and love and reverence towards God. And that is going to take me to the Atma Vichara as presented by the Upanishads. So that's the way one goes through, and free from all human attachments is, it's well put. Free from hating others, it's also well put, which suggests that self-recognition, self-love is the beginning of a process on a second level by which we not only we have the self-knowledge is direct, but the person has become more and more pure. The divinity within the person is overtaking the human animal nature of the person, and that's why I prefer to present this entire process as a process of spiritual refinement or spiritual elevation, and which somehow it begins on a second level after we have a direct self-knowledge, and we allow our Prabhupada to exhaust, and in the process we further refine and purify so that we may be free from further returns, to duality, if that is the desire within our minds. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Namaste. Are we all good for tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's just such a wonderful class.
Oh, nice.
Wonderful way to start my day. Thank you. Thank you.
And I was going to say something else. We meet tomorrow at the same time, the same day. No, I'm going to say tomorrow we begin the next chapter as well, because this is the last verse. Yeah, sure. Let me see here. Yeah, it's coming.
Right.
Okay. Okie dokie. We meet tomorrow. Namaste. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Arlindo. Beautiful satsang. See you tomorrow.
Enjoy it.